We estimate that we know the age of Ramidus to within about 50,000 years. So that's 4.4 million plus or minus about 50,000 years. That's very good. That's about as good as it gets.
At 4.4 million years old, the fossil hominid skeleton found at Aramis is the earliest ever discovered. These fossilized bones belong to a creature that lived and died 100,000 generations before Lucy was even born. All that time has taken a heavy toll on the fossil skeleton. Even some of the teeth have been crushed and distorted. The laboratory extraction and analysis of the fossils will be slow and meticulous. It will take more than a decade of painstaking research by a huge team of scientists to see what this creature looked like and to understand how it might have moved through its now vanished world. Most of us know our parents, our grandparents, even our great-grandparents. But go back 5 or 10 generations, and many of us lose our individual genealogies. Few of us are able to trace our family into the Middle Ages. Some 300 generations separate living Egyptians from their ancestors who built the Great Pyramids. Now, on a small patch of Ethiopian desert, an international team of scientists has found the remains of a creature 1,000 times older than the pyramids. The crushed and broken skull and pelvis of this partial skeleton could help reveal how all 7 billion of us have come to be human. At the end of each field season, the researchers take their fossil finds back to Ethiopia's National Museum in Addis Ababa for safekeeping, cleaning, and analysis. The hominid fossil collection here is one of the most impressive in the world. Now, each of the fragile new fossils will have to be freed from the sediments that surround them. The scientists take extreme care not to damage the fossils during the cleaning process. Hours, sometimes weeks, are spent working on a single piece.
We couldn't even lift the bones without putting plaster jackets around. This is one of the ribs. We used a lot of hardener in the field to cement this rib and the matrix in place so it wouldn't move in transport to the lab. Now, to study the rib and to piece the various pieces back together again, we have to remove this matrix.
The time invested in this stage of the project is remarkable. The painstaking work to safely free the fossil bones from the surrounding matrix takes over 3.5 years. With the fossil bones exposed and stabilized, the researchers can now conduct a post-mortem investigation. They want to discover as much as they can about what this creature was like when it was alive.
So it's sort of like a paleo-autopsy. And to run that autopsy, one of the first things you want to establish is this a male or a female? For that, we can go to the canine teeth. We have this complete lower dentition. The smallest canine of any Ardipithecus found is in this individual. Very strong indication that she was a female. We know that she was an adult when she died because her molars had been fully erupted and were hardly in wear. So a young adult female.
It began as the coldest of cold cases, but now facts from Artie's life slowly begin to emerge.
We know details of her biologies. For example, in one of her foot phalanges, this is a toe bone, we have an infection that persisted in this individual, probably for weeks or months, limiting her ability to move around the landscape at some times, probably, but the bone healed over. It resorbed and healed over. This is a pathology that this individual probably survived.
But what about the survival of the fossils themselves? To study Artie thoroughly, researchers will have to handle them over and over again. To protect the precious originals, plaster copies are made, replicas accurate to within 1/10 of a millimeter. Artie's fossil bones have made an incredible journey through time, one that's not over yet. In 2003, the Ethiopian government allows the original skeleton to travel to Japan for a new phase of analysis. The fossils are under the protection of Dr. Jonas Bayene. Along with project scientist Gen Sua, Bayene arrives at Tokyo Airport with a priceless cargo in a sturdy blue suitcase.
These fossils are a result of 10 years of intensive field research by researchers from all over the world, and traveling with them is, it gives you a sensation that is something which goes deep into your spine. If something happens, you are not losing only those precious materials, but precious also to science.
Artie and her 2 companions head for the University of Tokyo. Here, Sua will probe her skeleton with one of the world's most powerful CT scan machines. This equipment will let them make high-resolution slices through Artie's bones and teeth without damaging the fossils. They'll be able to digitally reassemble Artie's crushed skull and even measure the size of her brain. They're also looking for clues to the greatest question of all. Did Ardipithecus walk on 2 legs?